الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا وعظيمنا وحبيب قلوبنا وشفيع نفوسنا أبي القاسم محمد اللهم صل على وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين وأصحابه الغر الميامين. الحمد لله الذي جعلنا من المتمسكين بولاية سيدي ومولاي علي بن أبي طالب. اللهم صل. الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله. أما بعد، يقول الله في كتابه الكريم: بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن الله اصطفى آدم ونوحا وآل إبراهيم وآل عمران على العالمين ذرية بعضها من بعض والله سميع عليم. The first of our loud salawat in honor of Rasulullah Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. The second even louder in honor of Amir al-Mu'mineen Ali ibn Abi Talib. The third with your loudest voices in honor of the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Respected scholars, brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah wa barakatuh. When will the Mahdi appear is a question that is on the lips of millions of Muslims around the world today. And indeed, millions of Muslims for the past few hundred years. Until today, the most commonly asked question in the Muslim community is, when is the date of the appearance of the Mahdi? You find that such a question is a question that may be asked by someone young or indeed someone in the elder generation. For everyone aspires to be in that generation when the Mahdi appears. There is nobody within the Muslim community but that it's their wish that they are alongside the Mahdi. Because the ultimate aim of being alongside the Mahdi is to bring about a world of justice, a world of peace, and remove any tyranny or cruelty that may exist. You find that since the 1979 revolution in Iran, since the Samarra bombings in 2006, and since a number of other events that have taken place in the Middle East, the question as to when the Mahdi will appear has become the most asked question to any scholar within the religion of Islam. Wherever you go, the first thing you will ask the scholar is, do you think this is the age of the appearance of the Mahdi? Many times we wonder if in this generation there could be a possibility that we will be alongside the Mahdi, that we will be with the Mahdi, that we will stand with the Mahdi. And therefore you find that many people ask this question. And they ask this question especially having seen recent events where some of the names of the countries involved are names which are mentioned often within the traditions. When you hear the name Sham, you find today in Syria what's happening. When you hear the name Iraq, you find within the traditions a lot of discussion on Iraq. When you hear the name Iran, you think of the Khurasani. When you hear the name Yemen, you think of the Yamani. Many people, when they're trying to put the jigsaw pieces of the puzzle together now, are asking the question to any of the scholars within the religion that can you actively say and can you truly say that this could be the period of the reappearance of the Imam, of the appearance of the Mahdi? And you find that schools of Islam, irrespective of what school you come from, all want to be alongside the Mahdi, because the Mahdi is a notion and a theory and a concept in all schools within the religion of Islam. Therefore you find that in every generation there have always been a group of people who've wanted to be alongside the Mahdi. There's always been a group of people who've asked this question. Whether it was the group who believed in Muhammad ibn al-Hanafiyyah as the Mahdi, or Imam Musa al-Kadhim as the Mahdi, or Imam al-Askari as the Mahdi, or Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab as the Mahdi, depending on the different notions within the schools, you'll find that every generation has sought the answer. The problem on the first level in answering this question is no one can tell you when the Mahdi will appear, because the Mahdi himself doesn't know when he will appear. What do I mean? The knowledge of the reappearance of the Mahdi is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. There are numerous explanations of verses in the Holy Quran that make it clear that the knowledge of the hour, not the day of judgment only, but of the appearance of the Mahdi, is only with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you find that Imam al-Sadiq salawatullah wa salamu alayhi, on numerous occasions would state, liars are those who put a time on the appearance. Yes? Many times people would come to Imam al-Sadiq and they would say to him that, what do you think of those who would put a time on the appearance of the Mahdi? And he would reply by saying they are liars, falsify them, that nobody can come and give you the date or the time of when the Mahdi will appear. That means that when someone is asked the question, a speaker, a scholar, a Maulana, is asked the question that, do you think in this lifetime the Mahdi will appear? If he says possibly in this lifetime because there are certain signs, that may be an answer. But for them to give an exact date is against completely the beliefs of the school of Ahlul Bayt. However, this question continued to be asked recently because of two main reasons. The first main reason was the recent death of the king in Hijaz in Saudi Arabia, where certain people looked at traditions from Imam al-Sadiq which said that there will be a king who is named after a lion. When he dies, and for example Abdullah comes in, and when Abdullah dies, then know that the appearance of the Mahdi is near. Many people started looking at this and saying, well, surely the time is near. As if the king was called Fahad and he died, and then Abdullah died, surely that means that the appearance is near. Further than that, only a few years ago when Ayatollah Bahjat had given a speech, and he said supposedly that in this generation they will see the Mahdi. Yes? Even though if you go and verify such a rumor from the office of Ayatollah Bahjat, they said he's never said such a thing in his life. But the point is what? The point is many people want you to give them a date. Many people want you to tell them, next year is the Mahdi, or I think in 7 years is the Mahdi, or I think in 17 years is the Mahdi, or I think in your lifetime is the Mahdi. The reality is that nobody is able to tell you of the dates. Then someone turns around and says, but surely the signs are all there. And now with these signs of Sham and Iraq and Khurasan and Yemen and Hijaz, surely these are all signs which we take on board. Sadly, I'm going to have to put a dampener on things already from night one. What do I mean? I would love to be able to give you good news, yes? I'd love to be able to come here to Kampala and sit in front of everyone and say, I'm giving you good news, the Imam is going to return. But do you know how complicated a discussion it is on the Mahdi or no? You see, whenever you go through any discussion on any personality in history, there are certain methodological issues which have to be taken on board. Many times we know the name Mahdi in our communities, but 90% of our communities don't know any of literature or the surveys on him. Yes? If you were to ask many of the followers of Ahlul Bayt, where did you get your knowledge on Imam Zaman from? Some of them will tell you my father, some will tell you my mother, some will tell you the madrasa, some will tell you a Maulana. You'll say, yes, but have you actually gone through the literature about the Mahdi or no? Many times people think that the idea that the Imam is going to return is a very simple thing for anyone to explain. It's not. The methodological areas of discussion concerning the Mahdi have many issues which affect our understanding of his appearance. What do I mean? Some people just want me to say that, you know what, he will appear now. That the signs are all there. Khurasani, Yamani, Sufyani, Dajjal, I'll give you all the names. It's not that easy at all. There are so many methodological problems when it comes to discussing the Mahdi that you have to go through each one, and still there are more issues which need to be examined after them. What do I mean? I wish that I'm able to now tell you and tell all the listeners in the world about the appearance of the Mahdi right now. But when I look at the methodological issues, the first thing that I look at without a doubt is an area of literature. I have to do a survey of the sources which discuss the Mahdi. Yes? That's the first area. Then the area of geography, and whether the geography of then is the same as the geography of now. Then metaphorical or literal language. Then have these signs occurred in the past or have they not occurred in the past? Then what if Allah wants to erase these signs and not let them happen at all? Do you know how many complicated methodological issues there are in the discussion of the Mahdi and the reappearance of the Mahdi? Sometimes people imagine that this is just an easy discussion. You just mention Sufyani, Dajjal, Khurasani, give a few majalis and that's it. The most complicated discussion in the school of Ahl al-Bayt is the discussion of the Mahdi. Why? Last year, 24 lectures I gave on Ali ibn Abi Talib, yes? With Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, you have 63 years worth of knowledge which you can get from him. With the 12th, I have to work with 5 years, correct? When I'm coming to discuss the 12th, I've got him here for 5 years, then after that I've got occultation. With Ali ibn Abi Talib, I can discuss war after war, story after story, hadith after hadith. But when it comes to the 12th, the discussion becomes a lot more complicated. Therefore, let's look at some of these methodological issues that affect our discussion of the Mahdi. So before we go into the Imam and his birth and where he was born and who his father is and how he will rule and what's the role of woman in his army and how many soldiers will he have and where are those soldiers from and what is the position of non-Muslims, before I go into all of these, the first thing is I want to look at the methodological issues. The first methodological issue I want to look at is what? A survey of the sources that discuss the Mahdi. What do I mean? You know, most Shia don't know their own books of hadith, yes? If you're going to ask most Shia, he knows more about the books of hadith of our brothers in Ahl Sunnah than his own hadiths, yes? When you come to the books of literature discussing the Mahdi, you have to look at these books of literature. Why? Because from the outset, all of my majalis over the next 23 nights are going to be based on these books. I've divided the books of the Mahdi into the following criteria. Please understand the criteria. Books written in the time of the Imams, number 1. Books written during Ghaybat al-Sughra, number 2. Books written after Ghaybat al-Sughra in Ghaybat al-Kubra, number 3. In terms of books written about the Mahdi during the lives of the Imams, there are certain books which I have picked, yes? First of them is arguably the oldest book we have in the school of Ahl al-Bayt when it comes to knowledge and history of the Imams, which is Kitab Sulaym bin Qais al-Hilali. That's book number 1 that I'm taking. Book number 2 is the famous book known as Al-Mahasin of the great Alim al-Barqi, yes? Book number 3 after Kitab al-Mahasin is Basair al-Darajat of al-Saffar. Al-Barqi and al-Saffar, both of them were companions of 9th Imam, 10th Imam and 11th Imam, okay? Then also Kitab al-Ghayba or Kitab al-Qa'im, of whom we'll take Kitab al-Qa'im of Ali bin Mahziyar. That's another book written by a companion of the Imams. We'll look, for example, at which other book? Let's also look in that period at the book Kitab al-Ghayba of al-Fadl bin Shadan. We'll also take al-Usul al-Arba'mi'ah, the 400 usul of Imam al-Sadiq's students. Let's take them as well. There's only about 15, 16 of those usul left. Many of them got burnt. But they were the hadiths of Imam al-Sadiq from his students. There's only a few that have survived, but we will use them as well. As well in the time of the Imams, we will use Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, okay? Because Bukhari and Muslim write their Sahihs in the time of Imam al-Jawad and Imam al-Hadi. These are the books I'm going to use which were written during the lives of the Imams, which include narrations about the 12th Imam. Someone says, why are you so concerned that they're written in the time of the Imams? Because if I don't mention books written in the time of the Imams, if I only mention books written after Ghaybat al-Kubra or after Ghaybat al-Sughra, people will come and say that your belief in the Mahdi is something you've written retrospectively. Yes? You looked back at history and you fitted names into history, and then you said the first of them was Ali and the last of them was whom? The last of them was the Mahdi. Yes? So when you're looking at books during the lives of the Imams, you're showing, number one, our belief in the Mahdi is not a belief that came after Ghaiba. Is a belief that was there during the lives of the Imams. Yes? If I show you a book about the 12th Imam written after his Ghaiba, you'll be like, well, I bet you just added his name because you thought, what's the best names for me to fit into the number 12? No, I'm going to use books, number one, which were written during the lives of the Imams. Mind you, let me make something clear. 90% of the Shia world has not read a page of these books, yes? Usul al-400, a few survive. Al-Mahasin of al-Barqi, Basair al-Darajat of Safar. Yes, maybe 1/7 or 1/8 of their origin survive with us until today. Al-Kafi. Okay, now when we're looking at these books, we say that these are the books written during the times of the Imams. Do we agree? Basair al-Darajat of Safar, Mahasin of al-Barqi, Usul al-400, Kitab Sulaym bin Qais al-Hilali, the book on Kitab al-Ghaiba of Al-Fadl bin Shadhan. We'll say these are the books written which we're going to use from the time of the Imams. Then there are books about the Mahdi written in Ghaibat al-Sughra. Someone says, why don't you just include those books with Ghaibat al-Kubra? Because after the 12th went into Ghaiba, the Shia community got into so much confusion about who the Imam was, that there needed to be books written about the Imam in Ghaibat al-Sughra. Yes? Ghaibat al-Sughra was how many years? Ghaibat al-Sughra was 69 years. 260 until 329 was Ghaibat al-Sughra. In those years, there were a number of books which were written because the Shia had become 14 sects. How many? 14. Today, you talk of Ithna Asharis, Ismailis and Zaydis. When the 12th went into Ghaiba, in Ghaibat al-Sughra, there were 14 sects of Shia that emerged. Some believed he was alive, others believed he wasn't alive, others believed he was dead, others believed Imam al-Askari was the Imam. So you had certain authors who wrote books in that Ghaibat al-Sughra to try and refute any doubts about the 12th Imam. Which authors? People like Ibn Babawayh, yes? And he has his book and Himyari's book. Both of them are about that period. You know what they call that period? Al-Hira, yes? That period, they call it Al-Hira. Hira means what? Hira in Arabic means confusion, uncertainty. That period, because it was a period of uncertainty, one of them wrote a book, Kitab al-Ghaiba wal-Hira. The other one wrote a book, Al-Imama wa-Tabsir bil-Ghaiba. Yes? They wrote these two books to answer all those who were having doubts. And there was even a third author in that time, in the Ghaiba, al-Sughra, by the name of al-Nahawandi. He also wrote a book looking at the Ghaiba of Al-Qa'im. Therefore, we've got books now from where? We've got books from the time of the Imams. I'm going to use all of them for the next 23 nights, yes? Then we've got books in Ghaibat al-Sughra. Then we have books after the 12th Imam goes into Ghaibat al-Kubra. Like which books? The first of them, Kitab al-Ghaiba, of whom? Of An-Nu'mani, one of the greatest scholars in the school of Ahl al-Bayt. He has a magnificent work known as Kitab al-Ghaiba. You can't be more clear than that. There are three who have books called Kitab al-Ghaiba, yes? And Nu'mani has Kitab al-Ghaiba. And you have Shaykh al-Tusi has what? Kitab al-Ghaiba as well. He is another one. Then you have, for example, Alam al-Majlisi has a chapter which is dedicated to the period of the Ghaiba. Then you have Shaykh al-Saduq has a book which is one of the most important books on the 12th Imam. Yes? Kamal al-Din wa Tamam al-Ni'ma, written in the time of Rukn al-Dawla. Yes? That book is one of the most important books. Likewise, Shaykh al-Mufid has a book on the 12th Imam. Yes? Shaykh al-Mufid, his book Al-Fusul al-Ashara fil Ghaiba is one of the most important books on the 12th Imam. Likewise, the student of Shaykh al-Mufid, Sharif al-Murtada, has a treatise on the 12th Imam, looking at the rational discussion of the existence of the 12th Imam. Likewise, further than that, we're going to be using the books of Rijal al-Najashi, Rijal al-Kashi, Ibn al-Ghada'iri, and the weakening of the Rijal. We're going to use that as well. We're going to use the Rijal of Ayatollah al-Khoi, may Allah bless his soul. We're going to use the Rijal of al-Mamaqani as well. Rijal of Shaykh al-Tusi. Any Rijal works of Allam al-Hilli, which he may have commented on. In other words, we have to collect all of this literature before we come to any conclusions on the Mahdi. Problem. What's the problem? Do we have in the school of Ahl al-Bayt any book which is Sahih? Do we have Sahih al-Kafi? Do we have Sahih man la yahdaruhu al-Faqih? Do we have Sahih, for example, Kamal al-Din wa Tamam al-Na'ma? Do we have Sahih al-Tahdhib or Sahih al-Istibsar or Sahih Wasal al-Shia? Do we have a single book of hadith in the school of Ahl al-Bayt where all of the hadiths are Sahih? Do we have or no? We believe there's only one book in the school of Ahl al-Bayt which is completely Sahih. What is it? Quran, correct? Quran is the only book which is all Sahih. Other than the Quran, every other book of hadith you have to put alongside the Quran, correct? Some hadiths are Sahih, some hadiths are Hasan, some hadiths are Muwaththaq, some hadiths are Da'if. You have some hadiths which are completely authentic. Some hadiths we have which are good, some which are reliable, some which are weak. When I come to looking at the reappearance of the 12th Imam, do you know what my first problem is? My first problem is I've got so many books on him, but I've also got traditions. Some of them are reliable, some aren't. Now, how do I come to a conclusion about the 12th Imam and about the signs of his reappearance when I've got so many hadiths, but I don't have a book which is completely Sahih hadiths? There are books with reliable hadiths and books without reliable hadiths. Secondly, when I look at some of these hadiths, I don't know which ones are said in a state of taqiyya or not. There are some hadiths, maybe Imam al-Sadiq is talking about the 12th Imam. When he is talking with his enemies, he may be concealing our belief. When he's talking with his friends, he may say something else. That's the second problem that we face when we're looking at that. Therefore, the first methodological issue we have with the literature is not all of our books are Sahih. Al-Kafi is not 100% Sahih. Kitab al-Ghaiba of Nu'mani, or Kitab al-Ghaiba of Tusi, or Kamal al-Din wa Tamam al-Na'ma of Shaykh al-Saduq, or for example, the other works which we mentioned, like Kitab Sulaym bin Qais, or Basar al-Darajat, or al-Mahasab, they're not all Sahih. So if there's a hadith in there, someone comes to me and says, look Sayyid Ammar, I read a hadith. I said, what's the hadith? Oh, when there's a king named a lion, when he dies, his brother Abdullah will come in. I'll be like, have you checked the chain of the narrations of that hadith or no? Is the hadith? No, it's in our books. Doesn't matter if it's in our books. Our books can have hadiths which are reliable, and our books can have hadiths which are da'if. Now, that's the first issue that I have. Why? Because someone wants me to tell them about the Mahdi. The first problem that I face is, which of these hadiths do I take which are reliable and which are not? And sometimes even the great ulama of the school of Ahl al-Bayt differ as to which of these hadiths are reliable or not. If you look at the greatest ulama who have written about the 12th Imam, let's say in our generation, yes? Sayyid Muhammad Sadiq al-Sadr, Shaykh Ali al-Qurani, Sayyid Sadr Din al-Sadr, for example, Ibrahim al-Amini, for example. If you look at all of these who have written, even Professor Hussein Mudarrisi at Princeton as an example, all of these who have written, they've all written their respective books on the 12th Imam, no doubt. But even they differ about some of the things about the 12th Imam. Some of them may differ about whether the 12th Imam is a man who displays miracles, or he is just simply a rational, knowledgeable leader for the Muslims. As Hussein Mudarrisi discussed interestingly in his book on the 12th Imam and the period of confusion called Crisis and Consolidation. Therefore, you find that someone like Sadiq al-Sadr, Ali al-Qurani, Sadr al-Din al-Sadr, all of them great ulama, but they take one hadith from Kitab al-Ghaiba of al-Tusi or Nu'mani, and they may have a difference of opinion on it. Now, if these are ulama and they have difference of opinion on it, how are we going to reach conclusions about the 12th Imam when the great ulama themselves, differ over certain things regarding the Imam of our time. Therefore, the first methodological issue in discussing the 12th Imam is the problem with the reliability of the traditions on the 12th Imam. Yes, we have books talking about the Mahdi during the lives of the Imams. Yes, the Mahdi is not a myth that someone made up after the Mahdi came into existence. Yes, we have the books. But we have so many hadiths about the 12th Imam. The first problem, which ones are sahih and which ones aren't? Problem number one. Problem number two, at school, I was the worst in geography. I was awful in geography. English literature, I was good. History, I was good. Other areas, I was good. Geography, astaghfirullah rabbi wa atubu ilayh. Never did I do well in geography. Yes? Problem number two, when talking about the 12th Imam, are the countries that are discussed today regarding the 12th Imam, did they look the same when Imam al-Sadiq was talking about them? Let me give you an example. Sham. Do you see what's happening in Sham? Sufyani. Sham. Sufyani. Sham today is which country? When Muawiyah was ruling Sham, what was Sham? Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan. You think you can fight Ali ibn Abi Talib just with one country? It used to be called Bilad al-Sham. Bilad al-Sham means the countries that make up Sham. Sham in Muawiyah's time, Yazid's time, Umar bin Abdul Aziz's time, Imam al-Sadiq's time was Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, Jordan. Sham today is what? Syria. When someone sees what's taking place in Syria, they're like, look, Sufyani, Syria, Sham. I'll be like, but there's a problem. The Sham Imam al-Sadiq is talking about is not the Sham. Imam al-Sadiq, when he was talking about Sham, Syria, Palestine, Lebanon, and Jordan. Today, Sham is only Syria. How do you know the Sufyani is not going to come out from Jordan or Palestine? Imam al-Sadiq's time, Jordan and Palestine were Sham. Today, Sham is only Syria. Let me give you another example. Khurasan today is where? Mashhad. Do you agree? The area of Mashhad. Nisapur. Khurasan in those days was only Iran. Khurasan in those days was much wider than it is today. Today when someone tells me the Khurasan is from Iran, I'm like, why? It says because in the time of Imam al-Sadiq, he said, when you see the black banners from Khurasan, I'll be like, but Khurasan maybe is Afghanistan as well. Therefore, the friends of Osama bin Laden could have used that hadith for him. Correct? Because Khurasan at that time is different to Khurasan of today. Tabaristan, Uzbekistan. There are a number of countries today which are all split up. Khurasan today is that area of Mashhad Nishapur. When Imam al-Sadiq or Imam al-Kadhim says that when you see the black flags from Khurasan, were they talking about the same Khurasan or no? Let me give you another example. Kufa today, next to Najaf. Do you agree? Kufa in those days became much wider than it is today. Kufa in those days was much wider, and therefore the second problem we face when looking at the hadith about the 12th Imam, about the Mahdi, are the countries and the cities mentioned by the Imams about the 12th Imam's appearance, are they the same borders as today or are they wider? Second problem. Third problem, when you're talking about the Mahdi, and I'm so sorry to give you problems, I wish I could give you solutions, yes? But these are the methodological issues that need to be understood before someone gives majalis on the Imam, yes? Any famous personality in history, you always have to discuss the methodological issues in researching them before you come and talk about them. Third issue, when an Imam talks about a sign of the 12th Imam or about the Mahdi, and he gives you a hadith, is that hadith meant to be literal or metaphorical? What do I mean? Say Imam al-Sadiq says, one of the signs of the reappearance of the 12th Imam, the sun will rise from the west. Do you agree? Many of you have heard this hadith. The sun will rise from the west. When I look at this hadith, the sun will rise from the west, some people take it literally. They say, you know what, if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to, He can break the laws of science and make the sun rise from the west. Others took it metaphorically. Shaheed Mutahari used to say The sun rising from the west is Ayatollah al-Khomeini. That's when he went to Paris and he rose. That was the fulfillment of the sign that the sun rises from the west. Now when I look at that hadith, I don't know, did the Imam mean it literally or did the Imam mean it metaphorically? Let me give you another example. The Dajjal will be the enemy of the Imam and he will be one-eyed. Is this literal or metaphorical? Now if I see someone walking the streets in Kampala with one eye, I could shout at him and say, hey Dajjal, what are you doing here, correct? Or is it metaphorical? It might be metaphorical. That's a person who has a system with a one eye on their bill. It could be any monetary system, by the way, any country in the world. So maybe that is what it's referring to. So the third issue we now have is what? The third issue when we're discussing the 12th Imam is not just survey of literature, not just the area of what? Of geography. Another issue now is metaphorical versus literal hadiths. Which signs of the appearance of the 12th Imam are literal and which of the signs are metaphorical? Maybe the Imam meant this as a metaphor. Maybe the Imam meant this literally. That's a fourth problem we have when looking at the Mahdi and the appearance. What is it? What if those signs talking about the Mahdi have already happened? What do? There is a hadith which says what? There is a hadith that says when you see the black flags from Khurasan, know that the Mahdi's appearance is near. But we saw the black flags from Khurasan in the time of Abu Muslim al-Khurasani. When Bani Abbas overtook Bani Umayyah, they had black flags from Khurasan. So how does someone not know that that could be the black flags of Khurasan? Yes? Or let me give you another example. When the wall of Masjid al-Kufa, or when the wall of the palace of Kufa is destroyed, know that the Imam is near. How many of you here have been ziyarah to Najaf? How many of you have been ziyarah to Kufa? When you've gone to Kufa, haven't you seen the wall of the palace is destroyed? Yes? But it was destroyed many years ago. One of the signs of the appearance of the Mahdi is when the wall of Kufa is destroyed. It's already destroyed. In the time of Mus'ab ibn Zubair, Abdul Malik ibn Marwan is the one who destroyed it. Abdul Malik ibn Marwan was sitting down with his friend one day. While they were sitting next to each other, his friend began to laugh. All of a sudden, just started laughing. Abdul Malik was the Khalifa of Bani Umayyah. Abdul Malik turned around to his friend. He said, hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you laughing? He said, this world is a funny world. He said, what do you mean? He said, where are you sitting now? He said, I'm sitting on my throne. Where? In my palace. Where? Kufa. He said, what a funny world. He said, what do you mean? He said, I remember seeing Umar bin Sa'ad sitting on this throne. Then I saw Mukhtar al-Thaqafi kill him. Then I saw Mukhtar al-Thaqafi sit on this throne. Then I saw Mus'ab ibn Zubair kill him. Then I saw Mus'ab ibn Zubair sit on the throne. Then I saw Abdul Malik kill him. Now I see you on the throne. I wonder who's going to come and kill you. Abdul Malik said, La'natullah on this palace. He destroyed the whole palace. Yes? Now that palace was already destroyed. There are some signs or discussions on the reappearance of the 12th Imam. There are some discussions which become problematic. Why? They become problematic because of the reason that some of these signs have already occurred. So now when I'm looking at the list of the signs about the 12th Imam, already I have an issue. And the issue is, wait, that has already occurred 100 years ago, 200 years ago, 400 years ago. If that's a sign about his reappearance, it's already occurred. The fifth issue we have when talking about the 12th Imam is what? Is sometimes looking even at the woman and the daughter's names in the house is a problem when you're looking at hadiths. What do I mean? You know, Ahl al-Bayt alayhim salam, it's impossible to see their daughters. They're all covered, yes? Not just covered, hands. Hands are covered, face is covered. In the house of Imam al-Askari, there are a number of girls in the house. When there's a number of girls and ladies in the house, another problem we face is knowing which one is which. Which one is Imam al-Askari's wife? Which one's his auntie? Which one's his niece? What if one of the wives of Imam al-Askari has 6 names? Yes? What if she has 4 names? What if she has 3 names? That becomes problematic. Why? Because when 12th Imam is born, we have an issue. Is his mom called Narjis from Rome? Or is she got another name and she's from Africa? That becomes another problematic area, because now, because there's so many women in the house, it's not easy for someone to walk into the house and say, excuse me, by the way, which one is Mahdi's mom, and which one of you is his auntie, and which one of you is his cousin? You can't. All you know is that there's women in the house, and one of them could be the mom, one of them could be the auntie. And that becomes another problem at all. Another problem even further than that is what? Khurasani, Yamani, and Sufyani. Everyone talks about them. Do you agree? Everyone talks about the signs of Khurasani, that he will come from Iran, and that the Yamani, they say, will be a supporter of the Imam, and they say the Sufyani is from the line of Utbah bin Abi Sufyan, and he's going to try and fight the Imam. What if Allah decides that yes, there are the names of Khurasani and Yamani and Sufyani, but I'm going to erase all of these signs? Are you ready to be with the Imam or no? There's an ayah in the Quran. يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ. Allah erases whatever He wants. Many are waiting for the Mahdi, relying on Khurasani, Yamani and Sufyani. What if Allah says, no, I'm not going to bring any of them? Are you people ready to help the Mahdi or no? Someone says, what do you mean? Ibrahim was meant to sacrifice his son or a sheep? What was he meant to sacrifice? Son. قال يا بني إني أرى في المنام أني أذبحك فانظر ماذا ترى. My son, I see in my dream that I must sacrifice you. What's your opinion? قال يا أبت افعل ما تؤمر ستجدني إن شاء الله من الصابرين. My father, do what you've been commanded to do. I will be one of the patient ones. The first day he saw the dream of killing his son, he wasn't sure. The second day he saw the dream, he knew it was for certain. That's why the second day we call it Yom Arafah in Hajj. Because it was the day he was certain that he has to sacrifice his son. When Ibrahim came to sacrifice his son, was Allah more concerned about the dream or the willingness of Ibrahim to submit to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Do I need a sign to become with the Mahdi? Or should my whole life already be dedicated to the Mahdi? How do I know that Allah may say no Khurasani, no Yamani, no Sufyani? None of them. Are you people ready for me if I tell you now, come and sacrifice yourself for the religion? Ibrahim didn't wait. Straight away he said, Ya Allah, you want my son? I'll give you my son. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He knew that this person is so loyal, erased. He said, no son, here's a sheep. You have passed my test. Let me give you another example. Nabi Yunus's people, they were meant to be punished by Allah. Isn't it when Nabi Yunus left them? وَذَنُّونِ إِذْ ذَهَبَ مُغَاضِبًا. They were meant to be punished by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Nabi Yunus thought they'll be punished. He came back, he saw his people haven't been punished. Why? When his people realized that they were in the wrong, they all came together in dua. Allah's plan was He would punish them if they never read dua. The moment they read dua, He erased the plan. يَمْحُ اللَّهُ مَا يَشَاءُ وَيُثْبِتُ. The theory of Bada within Shia theology. Let me give you another example. Nabi Musa, when he went up to Mount Sinai, how many days did Musa think he was going to be there? How many? 30. How many days did Musa stay there? 40. When Musa talks about Sinai, he says what? I went to Sinai for 30 days. Allah extended it by 10. When Allah talks about Sinai, He says we sent Musa to Sinai for 40 days. Meaning Musa never knew that if I from the beginning knew that I was going to erase the plan of 30 and make it 40. To test the people of Musa, that if I left Musa up there for another 10 days, would they still believe in me? Or would they leave me and leave the Prophet of Allah? Yes? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, in the theory of Bada, could do something that turns the discussion on the Mahdi inside out. Which is what? He could say, no Khurasani, no Yamani, No, Sufyani. Are you all ready to be alongside the Mahdi if the Mahdi came tomorrow? Clear. Because the theory of Bada declares at any time Allah wants to, He can erase. And do you know how this theory becomes even clearer? It becomes even clearer when you're looking at, for example, Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Why? Let me explain. Imam al-Hussein from a young age, did he know about Karbala or no? Yes? He knew? His grandfather told him? His mother told him? His father told him? What did they tell him? They told him that he's going to die when? Karbala. Yes? When he fights in the battle of Jamal with his father Ali. If he knows he's dying in Karbala, how does he fight in the middle of the battle? I'm in the middle of a battle. My granddad told me I'm going to die in Karbala. If I'm dying in the middle of if I'm fighting in the middle of the battle of Jamal, what's going through my head in Jamal? I'm not going to die here today. But that causes a problem. Hussein bin Ali fights in Jamal alongside his father. Forget Jamal. In Siffin, he fights alongside his father. But he's gonna die in Karbala. So what's his mentality at Siffin? It used to baffle me for many years that when he's fighting in Siffin, if I know I'm gonna die in Karbala, what's my attitude in Siffin? Shoot your arrows, I'm not gonna die. But that's not Hussein bin Ali. What Hussein bin Ali knew, if Allah wants to, He can erase his plan. If Allah wants to, He could say, no Karbala, show me your sincerity with your father today. If Allah wants to, He can erase the plan of Karbala and say, Hussein bin Ali, show me today at Siffin how sincere and how much you love me. The Hussein bin Ali at Karbala is the same as the man at Siffin and Jamal and Nahrawan. Exactly. Every time he went into the battlefield, his ikhlas for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was the same. I left the world for the sake of you. And I orphan my children, so I may see you. If my body is cut into pieces for the love of you, my heart would lean to none other than you. Yes? Those memorable words of Abu Abdullah ring with us until today. Therefore you find that that issue is what? All of us talk Khurasani, Yamani, Sufyani, Dajjal. What if Allah says, no, none of them. Tomorrow the Mahdi comes. Are you ready? Or is your lifestyle not befitting of the follower of a Mahdi? Yes? And no doubt you mention Imam al-Hussein. The relationship between the Imam and the Mahdi is that most beautiful of relationships. No doubt whatsoever. And that's why you find within the traditions, whether it's in Ziyarat al-Nahiya, you find the Imam saying, I cry tears that become blood for Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. Yes? There's that relationship that's there. In Dua Nudba, you read the line, أين الطالب بدم المقتول بكربلاء. There's that relationship that is there between the Mahdi and Imam al-Hussein alayhi salam. So many lines which refer him back to Karbala. For what is the mission of the Imam? The same justice Imam al-Hussein sought, Imam al-Mahdi will seek as well. The same dignity to man that Imam al-Hussein sought in his life, Imam al-Mahdi will seek as well. The same sincerity Imam al-Hussein gave in his actions to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Imam al-Mahdi will give as well back to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's why it is difficult for the Imam when he hears the masa'ib of his grandfather Imam al-Hussein. Yes? No doubt it's difficult because nothing breaks the heart of al-Hujjah like hearing what happened to Abu Abdullah. There wasn't an Imam of Ahl al-Bayt, but that when he was dying, there was only one man in his head as he was passing away. Yes? I promise you, if you read the life of every Imam of Ahl al-Bayt, when they are dying, You would think they would think about their daughters. They would think about their cousins. They would think about their houses. No, all of them, only one man. Remind me of the martyr of the 10th of Muharram. Yes? Imam Ali ibn Abi Talib, when he was dying, when his head lay in the lap of Imam al-Hussein, he said to him, Hussein, is that you holding my head? Yes? He said to him, Father, yes, it's me. He said to him, you hold my head now. Who will hold your head on the 10th of Muharram? Yes? Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam. Hear this. Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam, when he was dying, our hearts, where are they? In Mashhad. Yes? Mashhad al-Ridha. Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam, when he was dying, the poison had surrounded the body of Imam al-Ridha alayhi salam. He was lying on the mattress, yes? When he was lying on the mattress, all of a sudden he turned around to those around him. He looked at them, he said to them, I want a favor from you. They said to him, what? He said to them, I want you to lay my body on the where? I want you to lay my body on the ground, yes? And they said to him, why? He said, please lay my body. They said, but Imam, your body has poison all over it. He said, no, lay me on the ground. When they took his body, they laid him on the ground. There was a smile, but then a sudden tear came down, and they said to him, oh Imam, why is it that you cry when we lay you on the ground? He replied to them, I wanted to lie on the ground so that for a few moments I would feel what Abu Abdullah felt when he lay on the ground on the 10th of Muharram. How could I lie on a mattress when the son of Fatima al-Zahra lay on the ground in Karbala with arrows surrounding his body? Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un. Raise your hands with these tears flowing from you. This is when the dua, when you cry for Abu Abdullah, every tear speaks on the day of judgment. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم إنا نرغب إليك في دولة كريمة تعز بها الإسلام وأهله وتذل بها النفاق وأهله وتجعلنا فيها من الدعاة إلى طاعتك والقادة إلى سبيلك وترزقنا بها كرامة الدنيا والآخرة. اللهم ما عرفتنا من الحق فحملناه وما قصرنا عنه فبلغنا. Ya Allah, raise us with the Imam of our time, Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst the companions of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. Ya Allah, allow us to be alongside the Imam when he brings a smile to Fatima al-Zahra alayhi salam. Ya Allah, allow us to be amongst those who are ready to be alongside the Imam of our time. Our brothers around the Islamic world, Ya Allah, remove all the difficulties that they face through the reappearance of Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. For the originators of this majlis, Ya Allah, allow them to continue to serve Imam Sahib al-Asr wal-Zaman. We pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with a Surah al-Fatiha, but before it the loudest of your salawat.